The landscape of horror films changed forever in 1973 when William Peter Blatty took his novel The Exorcist and turned it into a horror film sensation. This dictated a change from the blood and gore horror films like Friday the 13th and A Nightmare on Elm Street to the more psychological films. After the mass success of The Exorcist, there came The Omen in 1976, The Amityville Horror in 1979, and The Shining in 1980, all taking a different approach to the horror film industry. With the conventional horror films, the villain/killer is a big psychopathic, bloodthirsty murderer on a rampage, such as Leatherface from the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Jason Voorhees from Friday the 13th, and Freddy Krueger from A Nightmare on Elm Street, where in the psychological horror films, the villain can be ranging from a 12-year-old girl possessed by the devil, to a man driven insane by a ghost, or even a mad cannibalistic serial killer. One of the reasons that the psychological horror films have been such a big success is due to the way that they are able to play on the audience's fears and beliefs, making the viewer very uncomfortable but unable to turn away. Psychological horror films have broken the mould of how horror films, and any films in general, are made. They have broken down a wall and have blurred the lines between fact and fiction. The soap opera genre originally came from American radio in the 1930s. The name soap came from the radio shows being sponsored by soap powder companies. A soap opera is not to be confused with a TV series, whereas they are long-running serials concerned with everyday life, and the characters and locations stay the same. Successful soaps can last a number of years and are always changing characters and storylines, so new viewers can join in at any time. However, some soaps are not successful. Take short-lived BBC series El Dorado, for example. El Dorado was a soap opera that aired from July 6, 1992 to July 9, 1993. El Dorado had a 7 o'clock spot on Monday, Wednesdays and Fridays. Despite a huge television and radio campaign, the show was a major flop with the ratings and was subsequently cancelled on 9th of July 1993. And in March of 2001, Carter made a brand new series of a very successful soap, Crossroads, which ended April 14th, 1988. Carter and ITV were hoping for the brand new re-energised Crossroads to be a huge success. And on Monday, 5th of March 2001, the new series aired. However, the revised version did not go down well with viewers of the original show. Mistakes by writers not sticking to the original storylines alienated and confused viewers. The old school viewers were upset by the death of Jill Harvey, who was a major character on both versions, which led to a major decrease in ratings and led to the show's demise on May 30th, 2003. TV game shows are a type of television series in where a member of the general public or a celebrity competes in a battle of knowledge or athleticism to win a prize. For example, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire is a prime-time show for the ITV that airs on Saturday. Who Wants to Be a Millionaire is a game show that originally aired on the 4th of September 1998, which features one person trying to answer 15 questions based on general knowledge to win £1 million. As the contestants answer each question correctly, their prize money goes up. Unlike many televised game shows, there is only one person at a time, where with a standard television game show, questions are posed to more than one person. And unlike a normal television game show, the emphasis is on suspense rather than speed. There is no time limit to answer questions, and contestants are given the question before they must decide whether to attempt to answer. Whereas in an average TV game show, those options are not given to you. Taking a different approach from the television game shows, Gladiators is a show of athletic ability and agility, originally aired between 10th of October 1992 to 1st of January 2000, and revived on the 11th of May 2008. Gladiators put people from the general public against athletic bodybuilders with names like Falcon, Rhino, Cobra, and Wolf, in a series of tasks such as Assault, Gauntlet, The Wall, and the dreaded Eliminator. Since the creation of television on March 25th, 1925, sports and TV have gone hand in hand. Some people even cite sport as the reason television got off the ground. The first sports event was shown by the BBC, and it was the Wimbledon tennis final in June of 1937. But a lot has changed since the early days of televised sport. In the year 2000, the BBC released their own BBC Sport banner, although their headline sports programme Grandstand had been running for many decades before this. On the 11th of October 1958, Grandstand was launched and covered nearly every major sporting event from the Olympic and Commonwealth Games to the boat race and the FA Cup final. On January 28, 2007, after 48 years and 3,000 plus episodes, Grandstand was cancelled. In July of 2001, to coincide with the release of ITV Digital, ITV released ITV Sport as a TV channel to compete with BBC Sport and Sky Sports. The ITV Sport channel originally only showed the Champions League football and the ATP Tennis Masters series. On the 12th of May 2002, ITV Sport closed with and indeed was responsible for the collapse of ITV Digital. Although the ITV Sports channel closed, any sports that is shown on ITV goes under the ITV Sports banner. On the 14th of November 1922, the first ever news bulletin was broadcast on the BBC. Many years later, in July 1950, the BBC had its first televised news broadcast, and from there on, the BBC reached record viewers of up to 27 million for Queen Elizabeth II's coronation on the 2nd of June 1953. On 4th of April 1972, the BBC broadcasts a children's news show named John Craven's Newsround, renamed Newsround after the departure of John Craven, who left on the 22nd of June 1988. At 5:30 on the 9th of November 1997, BBC 24 was launched to provide people with constant coverage of the news. On the 5th of February 1989, Sky B released Sky News as part of the then 4-channel Sky television service. Since its inception, Sky News has been the frontrunner of news programmes, with the BBC even admitting that people prefer Sky than the BBC. On the 22nd of September 1955, ITV broadcast its first news broadcast. The ITV News has been famous for its branding of Big Ben and, of course, Sir Trevor MacDonald. Unlike the BBC News and Sky, ITV do not have a 24-hour news channel. The first ever TV advertisement was broadcast in the United States on the 1st of July 1941, although advertising didn't really pick up until 1949 due to the Great Depression after the Second World War. Many of the early advertising campaigns feature catchy slogans such as "I've fallen and I can't get up." This was for a medical alarm and protection company called Life Alert, to "Where's the Beef?", which is advertisement for hamburgers. The BBC, however, are not allowed any advertising as they are sponsored by licence fees. But apart from this, nearly every channel has advertisements before, after and during their programmes. There is a major problem with advertisements, as the adverts that appear in the middle of programmes tend to take away time from the show. For example, nearly 1/3 of a show that has an hour time slot is taken up by adverts or trailers for other programmes. 30-second advertisements on channels such as Sky News, NTV or E4 can be bought for less than £50. Many countries treat adverts differently. For example, in Russia, the Russian advertising break consists of 2 parts: federal adverts and regional adverts. The duration for each is 4 minutes and 15 minutes per hour respectively. The Russian government intends to decrease TV advertisements because of a drop in TV channels ratings. And in the Philippines, they have a strict rule called the 18-minute per hour rule, meaning an hour of broadcast programming should only have a maximum of 18 minutes of advertising time, as it was to promote public interest.